Welcome, folks. We are back with Mr. Sean Lee. This is wealthcurated.com and our full auto season launch. We've had some great talent, but I have to say, one of my favorite guys to talk to, you're looking at him right there in his garage in front of one of his new projects, which we're going to talk about. Sean, you were just telling me about some cool stuff you're working with on a global scale, and you showed me just a really cool pair of Van shoes, the Purist edition. Show those to our audience so they can see them. Super cool. If you guys are familiar with Vans, which hard to find anybody who's not, this is the Purist Group edition. Look at that. That is so cool. That's awesome.
So thanks to Steve, who's actually owner of the Vans. Originally, we created this as a collaboration. So I want to give this to our supporters. So we have I forgot, maybe 30, 40 pairs of this. And I created, and just so we just giving it out to people. But these are very, very special shoes. And I mean, I don't even wear mine. So
awesome. All right.
Yeah, so
you need to send me some gear. I got Triumph on today. Last week I had North Moto from Long Beach on. I need some Purist stuff for the podcast.
Done.
We can pump you guys. So as a recap for some of our viewers, just briefly tell us why Purist exists, what Purist is about, and why Sean Lee's behind it, and then we'll dive into some new stuff that's going on.
So Purist has been around for 10 years. This is being our 10th year. I started Purist 2012, around September. And the whole idea behind it, because to make a long story short, I had a really rough childhood and ran away from home, become homeless. And I want to be able to, when I a little bit more financially stable and about 10 years ago, and I want to be able to contribute back to the society and help out as many people as I can. So originally, first thing we started a toy drive, trying to help kids to have a better Christmas. From there on, one little toy drive had 30 people showing up. Till today, we have a couple thousand people. Every year, we donate 35,000 pieces of toys every year. Then about 6 or 7 years ago, or whatever the timeline wise, one teacher within our group was asking for a backpack for one of the students that was bullied badly in the school because he was carrying a really trashed up backpacks. So I asked her, what's the story with getting backpacks? I mean, it doesn't register for me. Then she told me about a bullying going on in the school, that when kids are, I was like, wow, I mean, okay. So I asked her, why don't you ask around how many people, how many, besides, she's only teacher of one class. Right. So I asked her, he asked other teachers for your school, how many more backpacks they need. So in the first year, we donate 30 some backpacks. If you Google it, you probably can still see on Facebook our very first backpack events.
Cool.
And we delivered the backpack to the kids, and they were very happy. And I decided to make that our events every year. So to make a long story short, this year wasn't for COVID. We're shooting for a world record, but unfortunately, so we're pushing it back till next year. Yeah. And because we're trying to shoot for 7,500 backpack, about even 10,000. I think 7,500 is more conservative. But come to think of it, compared to the toy drive, compared to the backpack drive, I like the backpack drive more because I get personally involved and get to see those kids and year after year and see their growth. And every time I go to the school and I get to talk to the teacher, and there's always a few of them, the kids that's very dear to my heart because like I was just doing a backpack delivery. You probably saw it on my IG. Yeah. This is a kid that loved Michelin stuff. And he was holding up the backpack, go, hey, I love this. This is like, this is a little kid. This is like, right. This is a logo that all the race team has on, right? the fat Michelin man, right? Like, yeah. And it's like cool, right? So, I'm a car guy. I see kids like that. I was like, wow, brand recognition right there, Yeah. And for sure, next year I go back, or actually I'm going back there at school August again, and I will be able to. I want to see that kid again, right? It's just cool, and compare these two events right now. My favorite event is kind of to the back to school backpack. I think the toy drive has gotten so big because every year we have thousands of visitors. It kind of lose its personal touch, right? Like when we do a 30, 50, 100 people event, I'm like, hey, what's up, Bruce? How are you doing? Yeah. And now if you showed up at my toy drive, hey, yo, Bruce, good morning. I gotta go. And, I gotta. It's just, it's completely chaos, but it's good kind of chaos because a
So
lot
it's
of
a
people
bigger
come out and
reach. Yeah.
support it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
You know, I like the back to school backpack because it's still very personal because every time we do this, we only have maybe about 100 volunteers comes out to help us pack the backpacks, to move stuff around. So it's still much more personal, and we get to see our close friends. We're able to accomplish the goal together. The idea is we could accomplish the goal together. That's more important than anything else. And
Yeah.
the goal is always doing something good for the community. So, you know,
That's
of
fantastic.
course,
Yeah. You do a lot of great car events, and all that, of course, helps support everything you're doing. And what's the next big car event coming up for you?
so we are doing another. So we just did a blood drive that we help Children's Hospital to, because right now it's COVID, which I didn't know that during COVID time the blood bank gets hit pretty hard because nobody goes to donate blood because they don't want to catch COVID.
Right.
And
Yeah.
right now the number is really really high up in the whole California. So that kind of scared people from going to a hospital, or
Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable because you don't want to go get sick. You want to.
Sure.
So
Sure.
before I say if I donate blood once a month, now it's going to be like, all right, fine, I'll stay at home. I'll do it when things calms down a little bit. So that kind of killed their inventories on blood bank. Yeah. And when they call me up and I go like, okay, let's do this. Let's link up with a couple guys. Let's secure a location. So Downey Nissan was very nice enough to donate their parking lot, and then Nissan USA was actually jumped on it and made that event happen. And it's cool because we wanted to about 50 people to sign up. So it's always iffy, and plus it was a hot day. It was 100 degrees. So in less than an hour, we started at 10 a.m. in the morning. We were over by 4 p.m. In 1 hour, we filled up all 50 registered.
Wow.
And more people doing walk-on. So I was at the end of the day getting like 70 or 80 people donating blood. It was an awesome day. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
You have so much going on, and we're gonna talk about the context of your story and why you're so passionate about giving back. And I hope we have some time to really dive into that. Because it's an inspiring story. But I want to talk about some of the race background that you have, the street racing. We didn't get into that too much last time, and I know for the most part those days are behind you. But it's interesting. A lot of our viewers know you for that stuff. So tell us about Sean Lee on the streets and racing, and what kind of cars you were racing, and what drew you to that, and where you are in your headspace right now in that whole scene.
Wow, this is a whole new kind of one wheel.
Yeah.
So back in my younger days, right? I'm just like any younger kid out there. I was angry, and because of my family background, and I was addicted to speed. What actually had me addicted to the sense of speed is because motorcycle, believe it or not. My first thing started was actually a little scooter, 80cc scooter. But back in the day, I'm 52. So back in my day, when I first on my first transportation, it's actually a Honda Elite 80 scooter,
Okay.
and you don't wear a helmet, so you'd be going the maximum speed on those scooter.
Right.
I think it's 42 miles or 45 miles an hour. It's restricted, but you feel like going 200 miles an hour, right? I'll duck underneath a little windshield, which it doesn't have. Because it comes in an L shape, okay? So I would just creep myself in front of that and try to reduce so I can get an extra 2 or 3 miles out of it. I feel that when I do that, I forget about everything. Also, the problem is back in our day, I don't even remember, California has no helmet law. I think it was until like 88, 89-ish has a helmet law.
Yeah.
But I didn't get killed. I had an accident on my scooter too, but I didn't get killed. I did some guy pulled in front of me. I did a Superman, boom, flew over.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get killed, which is completely insane. But however, that actually, I know that when I ride motorcycles, I feel relief. I feel a sense of freedom.
Oh yeah.
From there on, and when I finally had some money and bought my first bike, was a big bike, was actually okay. So I was working McDonald's at the time. Somebody let me roll one of the bigger bike, which is a shifter bike. It's an FC 400, I think. Okay. Not an FCR 400, but it was an FC 400 or FC. It's the one with half fairing.
Yeah.
So I rode that bike. I was like, holy cow, this is fast. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And I saved up enough money to buy myself a used FCR 600 at the time. That was 1989. I remember very clearly.
Wow.
From there on, I started riding a lot. Later on, I started save money to finally buy some used leather from Fuchsia.
Yeah.
And if you still, I don't know if that brand still exists, Fuchsia. So I finally bought myself a first Fuchsia leather and Alpine Star boots. They're all used. And I started going to WSMC, which is called Willow Spring Motorcycle Club. My first track day was in 1990 or something. And then from there on, I was addicted to setting up motorcycles, riding it until 93 or 94. I was doing a competition already for motorcycle, and I crashed really bad on Willow Spring Turn 9 at 120, 130 miles an hour.
Wow.
I become I become world fastest human tumbleweed.
Right. That'll wake you up.
I broke everything. My left leg, my left ankle was compound fracture. It was completely like this. Because back in the day, the leather that we have, it doesn't have that much protection.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't wear body armor within the leather. It was just purely the leather itself. And if you remember the glove that we used to have, this area is actually steel studs, not a Kevlar plate. So it's really not so much a protection at all, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And plus I was poor, so I used all the cheap gear. So now, you know, I learned. So so from there on, I gave up on motorcycle. I started learning how to drive. And the first time I learned how to drive, I unfortunately I took it to the canyons and tried to learn how to drive canyons. I did it myself because I have some motorcycle racing knowledge. But
listener tip. Don't start your driving career in the canyons.
Don't do it.
Wow.
Initial D is a fiction. It doesn't work. Okay, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But however, I started driving the canyon. At first, just with 2 or 3 of my friends, we started cruising up there. Because when I used to ride motorcycle, I used to go to canyon anyway. So I figured philosophy-wise, it's the same. So I started modifying cars. I bought an old RX-7 turbo, and all I did at the time was just focus on horsepower. Yeah, it's got a lot of horsepower. But at the time, it's a lot. I think it's about 300 horsepower.
Sure.
But later on, of course, I don't know about anything about understeering or oversteering. Didn't know how to rotate a car. Boom, end up in the ditch. And I'm in the ditch and learned my lesson. My best friend was with me that day, and we didn't get killed, but came back out, bought another car. This is so initial, like, it's my God. So I bought a Toyota Corolla AE86.
Yeah.
So they call it Hachiroku. I buy it because I was hanging around with a group of Japanese people, and they constantly running canyons all the time. Okay. And those people are big names right now in a car world. They're professional drifter, professional car collectors, they're professional car builders. Yeah. Just like drag racing, right? A lot of good old drag race guys now become very famous on the internet or on the, like Bisimoto, like Papadakis. These are big names in drag race, but back in the day, all from street racers. Yeah. So by driving with and understand the low horsepower car, you got to learn to build up speed, and therefore, in the process of building up speed to keep up, you have to learn how to drive well. So in the future, if you can drive a low horsepower car well, you can drive any car with big horsepower. Yeah, so from there on, actually, it was pretty smooth sailing. I didn't have any crash or major damage to the cars, and they were kind of leading me slowly and teach me and watching for my safety as we cruise. We really just cruise in the canyon in a faster pace. So then slowly I learned more about dynamic of the car because we used such a horrible equipment. I had to learn how to fix the car myself, how to change your wheel bearing. Why is your rotor warping after every time you drive it hard because you don't cool down the brake enough? How come the tire, once it heats up, it become almost like you're on ice? Why is it doing that? And how long will it take for the tire to heat up to that point? And how long will the tire last? It become very
a lot of technical info you got to process.
Yeah. And when you're driving it, there's no ABS, there's no traction control. So when you halfway driving fast, your tires start slipping. You have to really monitor and modulate your steering to control the slippage, so you don't go to the other side or kill somebody or hit the canyon wall. And then slowly, because every time you go out for a drive, believe it or not, we should do 3 or 4 hours, or just keep on driving. Wow. And that's become my association with car at a starting point.
Okay.
And the funny thing about it is, the crazy thing about it is, I actually bought back my very, very first AE86 I sold many, many, many years ago. So I'm in the process of restoring it.
That's great. Wow, that's really cool. Right behind you, over your left shoulder, is that the new project car?
No, the project car is
No.
outside right now, but this is my R35. This is my R35 GTR,
Okay.
which is yeah. So the project Wolf is something very, very special. It's a Porsche 928. You probably know I have quite a few 911s in the Porsches.
Yeah.
The 928 has always been one of my favorites since Risky Business, but also Scarface. Everybody loves Scarface, right?
Yeah.
But Risky Business, right? Then through that I fell in love with Tom Cruise, and like after that, Top Gun. Follow his career, and and then Mission Impossible. I mean, back in the day, Mission Impossible was one of my favorite TV shows when I came to the United States. I watched that to learn English. That, or the A-Teams, or the Brady Bunch.
Right. Right.
Yeah, those TV show and movie had a lot of effects on me.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And Risky Business. I always wanted a 928, but never pulled the trigger because it doesn't fit. Because by now I have so many cars, it doesn't fit into my thing anymore. So this car, how it become my project car is, I have a friend, and so throughout the years, I know him. Every time he come down to LA, we hang out, and he asks, there's a lot of friends that you talk to them before, like a couple of times, be like, okay, I'm done with talking to this guy because I think our relationship could get up to this point, right? Not that you hate on them, or just like
sure.
They're just become more acquaintance than just a really deep friend. Joe has always been a very, very good friend. We can talk about everything. We can talk about Kodiak chassis, C4500, C5500, Duramax diesel. Yeah, and the next thing we talk about Porsches, and he does have a lot of knowledge, not just that, and also investment, also wine, also we just, every time we sit up, we don't talk about, oh, what's your net worth, or what you're wearing. He's always in t-shirts and jeans, a very humble guy. And I didn't know this is a story. I didn't know that. I'll tell you the story later on. I was shocked when I went and pick out the car. So very humble guy, and I love him to death. And he one day he showed up at my man cave. We were supposed to grab a lunch. I go, wow, you drove a 928, one of my favorite cars. And that was about maybe a year ago. Yeah, it was maybe about a year ago. I was like, wow, this is cool. So we went out driving the whole day on his 928. We had lunch, then he took off. Then I randomly say, hey, if one day you're gonna sell a 928, let me know. Then that's how the conversation started about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So for the past year and a half, I don't know, I don't remember timeline, but what happened was his father is getting health-wise not very well. Then to make a long story short, his father and him said, this car can only be at two garages. One's Sean Lee's garage, one's my garage. And I really want to be able to get his car cleaned up and able to drive it again. But however, that to make a long story short, that was the intention. But Joe being away, moving his whole family to Seattle, he really doesn't have time to do that. He goes, Sean, I'm gonna sell you the car. I go, no, I have too many cars. I have no way to put it. He goes like, no, you gotta have this car. If you don't do it now, you have to do it in the future. Otherwise, this car is gonna sit in his garage, not get driven, and it's just gonna die over there. I was like, okay. I spent about 2-3 days with the car. They gave me the car keys. I've been driving all around, and the Petersons, everything. Spent about 2-3 days with the car, and put the car on the rack to go through it, and one is improvement. And at first, I was telling Joe like, oh my god, it's like really laundry list of stuff. But I did a lot of phone calls. I go like, oh, that's typical 928. I was like, really?
Right.
It's leaking every single fluid that.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's not major. It's seals, hoses. All European car, they're all like that. Mercedes, BMW, Porsches, they're all like that, right? So and basic functional is okay. The AC is cool. The transmission shifts nice. The engine, picks up power is really good. You leaks a little oil here, a little transmission fluid there, a little power steering fluid there. Leak a little coolant from the radiator side. Just laundry list of stuff.
Yeah. So what's the vision for the car? What do you want to do with the car to make it the Sean Lee 928?
So there's a lot of stuff that was done to the car was kind of Mickey Mouse too. So so to get a car back up to the way I want it, is first thing I want to do is to replace out the brake line. The brake line is 1991, 30, or it's original brake line, 30-year-old, made out of rubber.
Right.
I don't feel secure driving something like that.
Right.
But instead of older Porsche factory brake line, which costs like 285 or 300 per piece, I order a set of stainless steel.
Yeah.
So 4 of them for about $150. The first thing I'm going to do. Then the second thing I'm going to do is they actually somewhere along in the line, the car actually had a catalytic converter fail, and they replaced with the aftermarket cat.
Okay.
So imagine the header comes out as 2-inch, and they're actually trying to weld up they're trying to Mickey Mouse. The catalytic converter is 1.75 inch. Okay, so they actually welded 2-inch to 1.75.
Wow.
Yeah, so I want to remove all that.
Yeah.
Do a proper full white pipe coming down, just make it nice, clean. A lot of little stuff like fixing all the oil leak that he has on there.
Yeah.
Or tire was bald, so I got a set of R compound Toyo R-AAAs on there to make the car grips a little better. So a lot of bushing need to be replaced. And I order a full suspension kit from KW. They're gonna custom make a suspension for us.
Nice.
And then we're gonna have right now I'm debating on wheels. I'll go up to 18-inch on wheels maximum to make it look a little bit better. But right now I'm enjoy the stock 16-inch right now because it's a lot of cushions, and the ride quality is much more forgiving. It's more like a grand touring car. I know the moment I put 18s on there, it's gonna ride rough.
Yeah.
So we don't know until the suspension goes in first. Suspension goes in first, I can tell how well dampening the new suspension is. Then from that, I can see if I want to go up to 18-inch wheel diameters. Things like this. And other than that, it's a pretty clean driver. It's 98,000 mile car. You probably noticed on my IG, I drove it many times into the canyons. It's taking my abuse quite well. And actually, I want to at least clean up to the level that I can drive it for long distance. I want to take it to Pebble Beach this year.
Oh, nice.
And the radiator too. The radiator, it's old Porsche radiator, right? Aluminum core, plastic on the side. So it's a little sippage from between the plastic and aluminum area. It's sipping out a little bit. I ordered a brand new aluminum radiator to replace the whole thing. While I'm doing that, because if 928 runs extremely hot, because here's the engine, here's front of the car, their air intake runner go all the way back. Here's the air box.
Yeah,
it's interesting how they set it up, and so you're sucking all the hot air. So I'm trying to think of a way to resolve that. I either build a cleaner runner and maybe coat it with a hay insulated material to make sure colder air comes in. The car runs really hot, so I want to add an additional oil cooler and bigger radiator. That's definitely helps. So additional oil cooler. Also, it's a 30-some years old car. All the plastic, like the coolant reservoir, is all turning yellow. You tap it, you probably crack. So I'm ordering an aluminum one to replace that. So to make sure the LA this couple of days is over around 9,500, which is a good day for me to actually drive the car, kind of abuse it a little bit because I want to,
perform.
I want anything to happen. I want to have in LA. I can call a tow truck and tow her back to the shop. Right, it's all within 30-40 miles range. So far it's okay. And
30-40 miles in LA could be 4 hours though, right? On the wrong day.
4 hours is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 2 hours doing 6 miles.
It's crazy. I know. I don't miss that part of it. Well, let's switch gears here a little bit because I know so much going on between the cars and the giveaways and the events and the charity work. I know a lot of this sort of came to you based on your background, and at that point when you met Paul and spent some time watching how he processed life and then his loss, and you've sort of developed, your ethos has really developed and changed an awful lot. But if you're willing, and to the extent that you're open, tell us how your past and the difficulties with your family and your father and your progression through your work life and the struggles and the angst, how has that led to these big changes in your life to now you're a guy with resources and you're just trying to do good in the world as you go about the stuff you're passionate about?
So Okay, uh, so the easy ways to put it is if you never experience pain or hunger, right? You would most people probably never did, right? So uh, the fortunate things people say, oh, it's very unfortunate your father abused the crap out of you. Your mom's like was an alcoholic and abused you too. Um, at the time I was very how did I say it? Sympathize with myself. That's what creates all the anger. I was like, am I not good enough? Why are they don't like me? They're my parents. Why don't they want me? Why there's so many why. But
Yeah.
later on, now I look back, it's actually fortunate because look now today, thousands of kids and thousands of people. We don't just do kids, we do homeless, we do cats
Yeah.
and dogs, we do uh, everything, right? So we do that because what? Because yeah, Sean Lee did had a tough childhood, but I thought it through. I made something out. I made something out of it instead of just sitting there and going, "Oh, I have a sad life, and oh, my life is horrible because my mom and dad did this to me. I'm gonna waste." I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a period of time I'm like that. I'm not gonna be like this guy. Oh, I'm this like guy. They abuse me, boy, I come out, I become this guy that want to help. No, there were times angry at work. I went on the street. I was fighting everybody. I was this angry kid. I want to just like mess everything up, and it's just like I look at people differently. I go like, what the hell are you looking at? What do you want to talk to me about? Which I'm one of those kids, very insecure, very, very extremely angry. So I can see other people have the stuff I don't have. I can inflict the pain on them. I want to hurt them. I want to, I was that kid, right? And I don't mind telling people about that. You guys can judge, but I just want to know you guys know the real me. I don't want to tell people I'm not a philanthropist. Don't say I'm a good person because I had a bad time of my life, right? And it's a stages. That's why I also believe that nobody can stay bad forever if you're under the right influence, right? And there are always plenty of stories that people was bad but turned good as long as given a proper chance and proper leadership.
Yeah.
I'm definitely an advocate for that. So I wouldn't say adopt. I help a homeless guy that living on the street in Seattle. Now today he become a big famous artist. When he sells his painting, he volunteered a country back to Purist. Things like that, right? If I don't, if, who would go help a homeless that was on drug, right? So I would. And now look at how the relationship turns out, and that's just one of them, and that's the one that we decide to the public knows. And there's a lot of people that are around me that's like that. But it wasn't for me suffering so much before. I don't feel their pain. If I feel their pain, now I have to offer them is a path they can hopefully they can walk on that path. So like a lot of people that come to me for mentoring, I go, first thing, are you on drug, any kind of drug? I say, if they say yes, I say, okay, come back to me. You really want my help? I don't need money. I don't need anything. I'll spend my time with you. Get off the drug. Get off the alcohol. It's your commitment to me. First step. Once you do this first step, come and tell me. We go do a blood test. We go do a test. Make sure you're clean. And now I'll mentor you. I'll give you my resource. I'll help you grow. It's real simple. Yeah. Right. So I have a huge amount of resource. But to join a club, it's real simple. Make a commitment. I'm not asking you to say, I'll pay you $5,000 a mentoring fee and stuff like that. No. I don't need that. It doesn't make you give me money, it doesn't make my life any difference. But I can make a life difference. I'm using my power and my connection to make a life difference. But all this comes from so much pain when I was a kid. I was that kid that afraid of lights. I always locked myself in a room crying. In Asia, there was a thunderstorm. I lived by myself, and the electricity was out, the elevator was out. I couldn't go anywhere, and I have to just, But I lived through that, and now I'm stronger. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just stronger. I'm the same person because those are my memories. Still stay with me, but I'm the same person that has those memories with me. Those memory makes me stronger, makes me who I am today. And that person wants to help out other people, so other people don't have to go through the darkness. I sing with my own eyes. I feel with my own heart. And and
pain can take you one of two ways, right? It can bury you, or you can allow all that pain that's buried inside of you to bring life, right? From the soil of suffering, we often see an awful lot of growth. It's like farming, tending the land, right? You put stuff underneath the soil so that it grows and gives life. But you have to make a decision, like you said, as a person, you've got to make a decision that you're going to embrace life. It's hard for all of us, and give back in a way that contributes something to the world.
It's like I feel really sad when I see people commit a suicide because I'm being honest. This is the first time I talk in public. I was there. I thought about it, and when I see famous people that have everything that commit suicide because they couldn't think it through. Just
Yeah.
at that moment, they couldn't just like have a one friend that they can pick up the phone and call. They may have everything in the world, the money. They couldn't pick up the phone. Hey, yo,
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad right now. I need to talk.
Yeah.
I feel sad for them because I was in that shoes. And
People think
and
money and fame and
oh
stuff
no,
will fix the human heart, and it doesn't.
it actually complicates stuff. That's why I like my life now a lot more than I did before. I mean, I don't make as much money as I did before, but I'm so much happier because I know my existence in this world can actually make a difference in somebody's life. Instead of just like, oh, yo, look, man, look, I just bought this new watch or I just bought a new car. This is
Yeah.
how much money I spend, and for those contents, it's so unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that part of your story, and it's what drew me to you as a person. When we first met, it's interesting you bring up suicide at this point in the conversation, and you and I really met and got to know each other at the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride this year, which is all about men's health and suicide, and it's interesting. I've talked to people that I met at that event, right, who have struggled with this same issue. And as recently as last week, I've had conversations with them about these things, and about where they are now, and their struggles. And it really does make a difference when we, in the world of speed, like you're in, and life gets fast for all of us. When we're willing to slow down and invest in other people's lives, it really changes. It can change the dynamic for a life, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a proverb that says, he who saves one life saves the world entire. For that one person, you've changed their entire world. So kudos to you for that, and love your heart and what you guys are doing at Purist. And we hopefully we'll keep telling that story, and we'll talk more in the days ahead. But thanks for taking some time with us today.
It's always a pleasure with you, man.
All right, my friend. Take care, drive safe, and don't wreck that new 928 on a canyon.
Nah, I'm a slow driver now. Believe it or not, I mean, I did the whole thing in under speed limit. So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy driving that because it's such a speed limit kind of car.
Yeah.
And not thinking about, going crazy. Like this weekend, I went to track. After I finished the track, went to drive the Sim Canyon again in my Civic Type R. I was like, this thing's getting crazy. It's too fast. It's not good. 928, you had to really work your way to get to that speed. And this Civic Type R was like, holy shit, I'm like there already. It's crazy. Yeah, so it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, at our age, we wanted to. It's funny how my age now, I understand. Before I look at Grand Touring cars, like, oh, so unnecessary, man.
Right.
That's like it's like half-ass speed,
Yeah.
a sports car, and
Right,
half-ass a
right.
sedan wannabe, right? No, I
Yeah.
understand. It's for people like us. I was listening to 91.5 classic music. I was in the canyon. I was just cruising.
Yeah.
I was just, it's just nice. It's just nice.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
It changes
It's
your whole
refreshing.
mindset. Yeah. No
Yep.
matter how bad your week or your day has been, you get behind the wheel or you get on two wheels, 30 minutes later, you're a different person. That's what I love about it.
Sounds good.
All right, my friend. Hope to ride with you when I get back out there. So I'll let you know when I'm headed that way. But the Purist Group, tell people where they can find you and find out more about the events.
So puristgroup.com is our website, but I'm a little lazy on updating it. But the easiest way to keep track of our events is still Instagram. This is called just Purist Group, PURIST Group, GROUP, and that's the best way to find it.
Awesome.
And we always update our current events. But Purist Group itself, as a group and as an organization, exists in Facebook. It's one of the Facebook group how it started. So you can always go to Facebook group, find Purist Group. It's the one with about 7,000 to 8,000 members. Just request to join, and we have a certain value, we have certain rules. Read through that, and just say you heard it from this podcast, and we'll be more into bring you in.
All right, my friend. This is wealthcurated.com full auto podcast. We're going to do a major season launch. Guys like Sean and others who have a voice in the space. Sean, thanks a lot, my friend, and we'll catch up soon.
See you later, Bruce.
Take care.
Take care.